Greetings in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, Melech of Yasharal, Kohen forever according to the order of Melchizedek. All esteem, honor, and glory unto our Alua, Yahuwah. My name is Mayaka'al Shalama. This is Melek Shelamoh Trading, and I'm going to do a trade recap I did on ES Futures. Today is the 16th of May 2025. It's 10:55 a.m. Eastern Time. And before we get into that, let's do the risk disclosure.
General disclosure. All MELEK SHELOMOH Trading LLC materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
All right, so let's get into the trade recap. Okay, so we're starting from the ETH open. Let me just move this across so you can see my levels. All right, so in the ETH open, right, the ETH high, the overnight high, which is, I should be moving this to this level. What is that? 1 second. One second. My bad. I just want to label this because it's important to show what's happening in the ETH before we open in the RTH. So I just want to have the proper label here. So bear with me. All right, so in the ETH, we had this high, overnight high of 59.58. We had a distribution pattern here, basically at Camarilla R3, which was a nice Black Sun strategy setup. We have the liquidity being absorbed in basically like the buying climax here. We have another set of liquidity that we ran into to create the uptrust, and then we had this push down. Let me use the arrows. That's the LPSY, another LPSY into the RTH open. And it's a nice, it would be a nice trade for a short trade, right? But I'm not taking these kind of trades at the open because it's just a little too risky. And basically I'm bullish on the day, so I'm looking for a bowling green strategy, which is a reversal strategy or a mean reversion strategy, long trade. So with this being said, there is a higher time frame of jumping across the creek, right? On my Wycoff theory chart, we actually, yesterday's high actually made like a jump across the creek, which is a Wycoff theory setup or event where after an accumulation phase and we get a spring, which is a break of the low of the range, we get a push up above the top of the range and a breakout, right? So this was the breakout level, 59.44.50. So what I'm looking for today is basically coming down here is a little stop run from all the buyers here. It's a stop run below, and we're looking to get, right? So basically this is the trade here. We're taking out some stops before we actually make this move back. What they call it back up above the creek, right? So we're looking for this bullish setup. So I'm looking for a bowling green strategy accumulation to go long, right? So looking at the RTH open, We see the Black Sun strategy. This is the LPSY here from the Black Sun strategy, falling from the ETH high. We get the pullback and we get continued selling. So at this point here, we get the selling climax. We have liquidity absorbing price, right? So we have liquidity absorbing the sellers, preliminary stop, we get a selling climax, and then we create the automatic rally. Now if you look across here, you could see my labels as well, right? So this is the selling climax, 59.3275. Then we have the automatic rally at 59.4525, right? So that's the automatic rally right there. And it also coincides with the IB high, 30-minute IB high, right? So we pull back after the automatic rally. News came out, we pull back, we create the secondary stop, which is just above yesterday's settlement, right? So let's open that up, 59.3350. We pull back here. There is no liquidity because it's news, so these liquidity levels they pulled, but as you notice, this did not pull at 59.30. This has been in the book since around, let's say, 8:57, right? So this came in the book. They want to transact, right? So we get the secondary stop. This is an accumulation, right? So this is the end of phase A. After phase A, we're looking for this kind of movement within the price action, and we get an uptrust. Now, what's bullish about this is that we don't test the lows of the structure, which is the secondary stop. Our LPOS, or lowest point of support, is right here at 59.3525, right? So that's kind of indicating a bullish posture, right? Because we're not coming back to the lows. Buyers are taking it up before we get back to the lows of the structure, right? So you see there's liquidity here as well. Ran into this liquidity, absorb sellers. We push up to create the uptrust action, right? So the uptrust action is actually up here. Right, so that's the uptrust action there at, let's see, what is that? Roughly 59.4825, right? So we get the uptrust action, which is the breakout of the accumulation range high, which is the automatic rally. The automatic rally is setting the range high, right? So let's open this up a little more. So when we create this uptrust action, we're running into heavy liquidity. So we get like a little mini distribution here. This is the buying climax, automatic reaction, uptrust into liquidity, and then we get the push down. This would be the LPSY. So we're pushing down into VWAP, which is that solid green line, right? This is also VPOC here at 59.3525. So VWAP and VPOC are in the same proximity, and it never really moved. This is my HVN open, which is where VPOC kind of stayed at the open. So that's the high volume area at the open, 59.3525, right? So what we get is a stop run, right? We get 63 stops coming out here, and if I throw this back on, I'm sure I'm gonna see buy sweeps up there. So let's give this a second to populate. And this is just an indicator I use to show where buying exhaustion is happening or distribution is happening. Also, while we wait for that to populate, right? So it's not populating. I don't see any buy sweeps. Maybe it's not coming in because I took it off and putting it back on. It's not really showing right now. But another thing we could look at is we have buying icebergs here, right? And we also have volume pressure and volume pressure imbalance spiking, right? So that's the green right there, that's the red right there. So it's happening in a buying exhaustion, and that's a sign of a reversal, right? Because we have volume pressure on the buy side actually spike into the is going to the extreme, which is usually an indication of a reversal, like it's happening here, right? And you see we get the pullback, right? It's happening here, and you see we get the pullback, right? So these are just things I use from the market pulse. That's my volume pressure imbalance, that's my volume pressure, and that's my iceberg, what do they call it? I believe it's called something iceberg. It's like for the spikes on the icebergs, right? So we get the push down here. Volume pressure is now going to the sell side. We have selling, we're pushing into VWAP, right? So what I'm looking for, basically, this is an accumulation structure, so I'm not taking any shorts, right? I'm looking for the long setup. So the long setup for me is coming into this liquidity 59.30, and I'm looking for the spring, right? So we push down, we break down VWAP and VPOC, we go down into the lower deviation bands, and let me just point this out as well, right? Oh, here are the buy sweeps. They populated, right? So those green dots, those are the buy sweeps, and you see where they're actually happening. They're showing where counter rotation is potentially going to happen. So that's another criteria I use in my setups. So this is a little black sun strategy happening here: buy sweeps, buying climax, automatic reaction, buy sweeps into the up trust, and then you take the short right there, right? Well, I take the short, you don't take the short, you know what I'm saying? Don't follow what I'm doing. This is just how I'm reading the market, right? This might just inspire you to probably incorporate buy sweeps into your strategy, you know what I'm saying? So basically, we break down into these lower deviations, and I keep forgetting to show this, right? These upper deviation bands, the reason I have these up here is because these dashed green lines, right? Those are upper deviations from the VWAP. First upper deviation, second upper deviation, third upper deviation, 2.5 upper deviation, and then third upper deviation. You could see that distribution. If you keep looking at these charts over time and you have these deviation bands on, you will see that your distribution pattern happens within the upper deviations most of the time, right? So for anyone who wonders why this chart is so cluttered, that's the reason. There is a purpose to what I have on these charts, right? Now, for some people, they need more clarity to get a perspective of the chart and the order flow, right? It's like having a cluttered desk and someone who has a very organized desk, right? They both might get the job done, right? But for the person with the cluttered desk, they know where everything is on their desk, right? And they perform exceptionally with a cluttered desk, right? And if you move stuff, they know that you move stuff on their desk, even though it looks like just like jumbled up from your point of view, right? If you're a clarity person, right? So for me, I could understand everything happening here. I have these buy sweeps, I have icebergs on there, I have these stops. All of this correlates for me, and it gives me an intuitive perspective of when to just execute, right? Because my executions happen right here. When I'm executing on a high level, I'm operating right here. A lot of people wait for breakdowns. I don't need much confirmation because from my perspective, I could see when things are developing. I don't need to execute after they developed. I'm executing on the buying exhaustion, right? So that's just a little rant about my cluttered chart, right? So upper deviations, distribution, we're moving down. We're looking for the spring at this point, right? Because we already got the uptrust action, right? That created the uptrust action in the accumulation after the automatic rally. Now I'm looking for price to visit the low of the range and break the selling climax. That's the low of the range right there, right? So we get the breakdown. We hit this liquidity, 59.30. These guys come in the book as well. We take them out and we get buying absorption, right? The buyers on the passive side is absorbing the sellers, right? So what you see here, iceberg 200, absorption 109, and we get sell sweeps 50. We also get buying sweeps 60. And what do you see right here? This is what I'm talking about. I'm not waiting for too much confirmation. Once I get my high volume, I get my selling spikes, right? VPI spike and volume pressure selling spike, right? We're spiking at these liquidity levels. We even have liquidity that we did not hit yet, right? Now, if you notice, my stop loss is right here in this liquidity level. So this is my risk. I'm risking when I take this trade at the bottom, right? Because a lot of people also like to say that they can't call the bottom or the top, right? I disagree with that, because when you looking for in the Wycoff theory, you can see, especially with bookmap, where the bottom might be, right? So this is me paying for this entry. And the thing about this is good risk management. Some people might think this is bad risk management because I'm not waiting for a confirmation, right? I'm not waiting for it to break above this level here for me to consider a buy. I'm buying right there, right? As soon as I see this, we get all this confirmation here. Well, it's not really confirmation, but we get these selling spikes. We get high volume. We hit this liquidity coming down on the bid. We get buyers. Boom, as soon as we pop up off of this, I'm in, right? So I go long right there at 59.2650, right? It pulls back a little bit. Buyers take it back up. So we run into this liquidity. This is the first test right here. We take this out, they pull, right? Because they're seeing the buying coming in now. We have buyers on the bid. They're stepping up, right? So all the signs of the reversal is looking good, and we're actually sweeping below -3 lower deviation, which is another signal, right, that this is a really exhaustive selling. If we could break below third lower deviation, usually you're gonna get a reversal, right? Because from a volume weighted average price, this is an exhaustive level, right? We push back up, we going through these lower deviations, we back above second lower deviation, we retest it, and we push up. Liquidity is stepping up again, right, on the bid, right? My trailing trigger starts getting triggered, right? We push above, you see my trailing trigger. As soon as we get 6 points, my trailing stop starts to execute. Right now we get up to first lower deviation, and this is where I exit my trade. We get back to the selling climax, right? And this is something I need to work on here, because I exit right here at 59.3250, right? So this is something I need to work on, holding the trade. The trade is being executed properly. I can at least try and get back to VWAP, because this is really my first target. But I'm seeing that we're running into possible heavy liquidity here, and we're breaking the structure. All of this is a level here, secondary stop, yesterday's settlement, selling climax, IB low, running into first lower deviation, liquidity on the bid. We're getting buy sweeps as well. Possible distribution here. So instead of giving it all back to my break-even point, or even coming back to tag this liquidity here for buyers to enter the market, I'm going to exit here. Now I could take this reversal, right, after we get this, let's say I take profit here and I want to re-enter. I could re-enter around here. I could re-enter these big buyers right here, but it's Friday and I had a great week, so I don't need to risk much, right? I'll just take this on the day. That's 600. That's good, right? I had a good week. It's all winning trades this week. Took good setups, ended the week with a good setup, took the spring, my entry was good. Let's go back here, put the trade in perspective. My entry is solid. I'm entering the way I want to enter, right? So after the spring, right? And the spring is actually, let's take this down. Yeah, this is good. So the spring is right here at this level. I enter as soon as buyers enter. High volume, VPI and VP selling climax, right? Push up, we start to distribute. I take it off, right? I could have looked at this right here as maybe I should take it off right here, right? But held through these pullbacks. So first pullback held through that, second pullback held through that. But as soon as I start to see my buying sweeps, potential distribution at the level I'm looking for, exit the trade. And I'm cool with that right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's MELEK Shelemoh. This is MELEK Shelemoh Trading. And you'll trade safe and stay blessed. This is my bowling green strategy. You don't have to trade like me. You could this could probably inspire you to create your own strategies. You might see things that I'm breaking down here and think to yourself, well, why didn't he do this at this level? Or why didn't he do this at this time, right? You create that in your strategy, right? So it's just an inspiration. This for me, while the reason I'm doing these videos is for my journaling, right? I look back at my videos all the time. I look back to see what I could have done better. Like today, I could have been still in this trade at +1 upper deviation, right? Coming back to the automatic rally. And actually, right, let me just show you this. I actually put my stop, my take profit, which was at 59.3850. I moved it up to the automatic rally. So I know that it's possible to actually get this target, right? But you see these pullbacks here? I'm avoiding these right now. And that's basically fear. So the more and this is the fear that I'm overcoming, which most traders are not overcoming, right? They are scared to enter at these levels. Trading is not about fear. If you accept the risk, you should not be fearful of losing the trade. The more you're fearful of losing the trade is the less efficient you will be at executing any strategy, right? So that's what I'm overcoming as a trader. I'm putting myself at risk and accepting the risk. When I accept the risk, I could pay for it, right, with my stop, or I could get the entire move back to the automatic rally. So this is something I have to work on, holding the trade. But as for now, I'm just building up the confidence with executing the trade and exiting at decent levels, right, where I see certain things like buying sweeps, right? So as time goes by, you'll see my execution would become even better, and I'll still be in the trade up at these levels. All right, y'all. So y'all trade safe and stay blessed. Shalom.